We're going to be multiplying polynomials using the area model, which is sometimes referred to as the box method. I know some of you are used to, if you see a parentheses next to another parentheses, you know that that means to multiply. You're used to actually foiling, that's what you guys call it, but it's the distributive method where you do a times c and then a times negative d, b times c, and b times negative d. This is just a visual form of doing the exact same thing. So like I said, a times c, well, this is a times c. I just place the answer in the first box. And then a times negative d, well, this is a times negative d. And again, I place the answer in the second box, a negative a d. So what I'm doing is taking everything from this row and multiplying it by each column, a times c, a times negative d. And then I go down to the next one, which is what I did here, b times c. So I will go from b times c, which will give me this box, bc, and then b times negative d, which is the same thing as this, b times negative d, negative bd. And then once you do your math, you will see that in some cases you will have some terms that you can combine. So in this instance, I don't. I have a AC, a BC, and there's not another AC or BC. And then I have a negative AD and negative BD. And again, there's not anything else that has a like term. But that's going to change. So let's try example 1. Again, you will be tempted, and it's okay if you do choose to use your distributive method, but for the sake of consistency, I am going to show you the box method. And again, that is really referred to as the proper name is area model, but because it looks like a box, people say box method. Now, before we actually had the boxes filled in to find the factors. Well, now it's in factored form, which is multiplying. So it does not matter which goes on which side. I'm going to go ahead and take this 4x minus 6 and I'm going to write it here. So the first term, which is 4x, goes on the first row, minus 6 is the second term, goes on the second row. I do the exact same thing with this set of parentheses. The first term goes in the first column. The second term, along with the sign, goes in the second column. And now I just multiply one row with a column until I'm out of columns. So 4 times 7 is 28, x times x, x squared. 4 times 1 is 4, and then x. Keep up with your sign, plus. Negative 6 times 7x is negative 42x. And then negative 6 times positive 1 is negative 6. Now, this is what I was talking about a few minutes ago. Sometimes you will have like terms. So this one has an x, and so does this one. So I can actually combine them. And 9 times out of 10, you will see diagonally that you can combine those terms. So you want to write it in the order that it is shown. So it's like the first box, 28x squared, and then the second box, but you want to combine those. So that's going to be negative 42 plus 4. And in that case, you're going to be subtracting. So that's going to be a negative 38. And that's what you're going to write. And then don't forget that it has an x. And then finally, your last box, which is negative 6. This is your answer. You have just multiplied a polynomial. Now, what if you see something that looks like this? Well, you have to understand when you have a binomial that's squared, it is simply asking you to take that binomial and multiply it times itself. That's what this exponent is telling you. It's telling you to multiply it times itself this many times. All right, so now if I'm drawing my box method or my box, I am drawing four boxes because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. So let's go ahead and set this up. I'm going to take one of my terms plus one set of parentheses, and put it on the left-hand side, and then the other set of parentheses I will put across the top. The first term goes with the first column, the second term goes with the second column. 8 times 8 is 64. X times x is x squared. 8x times 1 is simply 8x. And again, I'm keeping up with the sign. And then I want to take 8x times 1, which is positive 8x. 1 times 1 is positive 1. Again, if I am looking at diagonally, I notice I can combine those two x's. So if I'm writing my answer, I'm going to take the first box, 64x squared. The second box, and if I can combine it, go ahead and do that. 8 plus 8 is 16. And then the last box. That's my answer when I am trying to multiply out a polynomial using the area model. What if I have something that looks like this? Well, same thing. So I am going to, this time I'm going to have a longer box because I have 1, 2, 3 columns, because that's the way I'm going to set it up. You don't have to set it up that way. And then I'm going to have 2 rows because I'm looking at 2 terms here. So that will be negative 3x minus 7. That's what's going down. And then going across, I'm going to have for the first column 2x squared plus 7x for the second, and then plus 1 for the third. When I do my math, I see that negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. X times x squared is x cubed. Pay attention to that because you're used to dealing with x squared, but sometimes it changes. Negative 3 times 7 is negative 21. X times x is x squared. Negative 3x times positive 1 is simply negative 3x. And see the pattern? 3, 2, 1. Now if I go to the next row, negative 7 times 2x squared, negative 14x squared. Negative 7 times 7x is negative 49x. Negative 7 times positive 1, negative 7. Again, this is not always true, but most times it is. If I look diagonally, I can see that I have an x squared and an x squared. I know I can combine those. And then I have an x and an x. I can combine those. When I am writing it, I start from my first box. So that's what I'm going to do. And I end up with negative 6x cubed. And then I will have a negative 21x squared plus negative 14x squared, which is negative 35x squared. Here I have negative 3x plus negative 49x, which is negative 52x. And then I have my last term, which is negative 7. That's my final answer. Easy, right? Okay, let's try one more. Okay, using the box method again, I'm going to set up a box. You don't have to do it the way that I'm doing with the 2 rows. You can do 3 rows if you want it and put that one going down and then 2 at the top. But I'm going to go ahead and do 3 columns instead. But it really is up to you. So 3n plus 2. And then I take each one of these terms and I place it over a column. Negative 5n squared minus n minus 2. Okay, so now I want to start combining my terms. Well, multiplying. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. N times n squared is n cubed. 3n times negative n is negative 3 n squared. 3n times negative 2, negative 6n. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10, and then the n squared comes down. 2 times negative n, negative 2n, and 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. At this point, again, I want to try to combine like terms, and they're typically diagonal, so they just jump out because they're diagonal. Let's see here. And when I write my final answer, I want to start with the first box, negative 15n cubed. And I want to combine my n squared. It's negative 3 plus negative 10 is negative 13. Bring down that variable and exponent. Negative 6n plus negative 2n is negative 8n. And then finally my last box, which is negative 4. Looking at, it's automatically in descending order. It's in standard form. 3, the highest exponent is 3, then 2, then 1, and then nothing. So that is it. That's all you have to do for multiplying polynomials. You know the routine. Like and subscribe, please. Thank you.